with Tracy in LA. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast, Dance Journey. Today we have a very special guest. A lot of you might know, Christian Espinel. Am I saying your last name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Christian is my contemporary teacher on Monday nights at C-Spot. We love him. So many of us love him. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, we took Malaya's lyrical class today. And I take that most weeks when she's not out of town, but Christian has not taken her for how many years has it been?
Definitely before COVID, when Edge was still around. So it's been a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
Too long.
How many years is that? 5? I don't remember when COVID was. 2020. It's 2024. It was been 5 years maybe.
Something,
5 or 6.
A little more.
Did you used to take Malaya a lot?
Not a
Once
lot. Once in a while. I think towards the end of the Edge days, I took it a little bit more.
Okay.
Consistently, but
I never even saw her class when I was at Edge because I was very, very beginner, just starting, and now I'm sort of beginner. So coming back after 5 years, he also came back to a class that was her third round of teaching. It was also an especially long combo. And I don't want to give it away, but Christian totally killed it. How did you feel, though? How did you feel trying to pick it up? Because she teaches so fast.
I feel like a blur, honestly. When I'm doing it, when I'm thinking or not thinking, as I was saying earlier, that I try to kind of turn my brain off a little bit. But definitely felt blur, and I think that had to do with a lot of the direction changes. And me kind of questioning myself halfway through. Oh, is this a similar change but a different arm?
Yeah.
But, from what I hear from you and from her, that it was good.
It was.
It felt like it was a long time coming.
It was
Definitely.
so good. I always love to watch Christian dance. He's such a gorgeous dancer. But I was questioning if he was going to be able to pick it up. Just because Malaya especially on the third round, she just throws it at you and barely teaches it twice, And it's so crazy. And this one had a ton of direction changes. And then I looked over at Christian and I was like, he has it all and he looks amazing. So I don't know why I doubt it. I got it a little better than I got it on Thursday, but the last round I missed 12 8 counts because I got lost on one little part and then I
think that happened to me too at one point. I made a mistake and then I was gone for half of the combo and I'm like, ugh.
I literally just stand like this and I
Shift.
keep it. Wait, which way? Okay. And then I did get back in at some point, but it was a lot of 8 counts. Anyways, though, I love Malaya's class. I love her warm up, even though I'm drenched in sweat during it. Did you feel happy to be there? Was it nice to be back?
I did, and it was nice to be back. Just because her warm up is so classic kind of jazz kind of technique, and so for me it just makes me reflect on the times I've been in class and had my feet together and contracting and thinking of all of the stuff my teachers have taught me over the years.
Aww.
So for someone who used to dance nonstop every day for work to someone who doesn't anymore, it was definitely nice.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that you'll come back?
It's something that I haven't canceled in my mind.
Okay.
If the opportunity kind of presents itself, yeah, I could definitely see myself going back to dancing more.
Yeah.
Because, I prefer that over a normal job.
Yeah, right? Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
Okay, before we get more into your dance journey, I want to just talk about your class and my experience because I started taking your class, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago or a year ago or something. I don't really remember. Time is just flying. But when I first came to your class, I really liked it, but I was a disaster. I literally just didn't know. I barely would get a move here or there. And I just remember just really desiring to keep coming, and I just liked your choreography and I was I just want to keep coming and I hope I can get better. But you were so nice to me, and like you always hug everyone at the end, and I'm just like, okay, I feel welcomed here. And then I remember I kept coming for a while at Dance Line and then switched to C Spot. And then I think it was like halfway through last year that I said to you, because at the end, every time I'm just like, ugh, I feel like I love this class, but I'm not dancing it super good. And I just like wish that I was. And I think I said to you, I just want to, I said like in 6 months, I want to be able to dance your choreography better. And I think it was like midway through the year. So in my head, I was like, by December, I want to be able to dance your choreography super good and, or just like at least a lot better. Um, and then it was towards the end of the year that it was the last class of the year, and you were like joking about me doing a solo, and then
Oh.
I jokingly was like, I'll do it or whatever, and then all of a sudden I was doing it, like I was gonna do it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and then I freaked out and I was like, can you dance with me? And then Christian and I danced together, and I felt like I reached like Christian class enlightenment or something. I was like, this is it. It's December. I wanted to get better by the end of the year. I just did a duet with Christian. Like, I don't think I need to come back to this class anymore. I think I reached
Done.
it. I was just like so happy. I just felt like I improved so much through your class, and I just felt like so much joy. But of course, I still wanted to keep coming back because I still have a million things to work on, and I just like never get tired of your choreography. I just think it's like really fun. I love the mixture of like slow flowing movements, but also like all the fast stuff that kind of like gets my brain crazy. And then like I like all the technical stuff too, because even though some contemporary classes are more just like a bunch of random moves that I'm like, what are these things? But you do a little bit of that, but it's like you also have like a lot of technical stuff, and sometimes it feels more like lyrical to me, which I really like. And then you give so many good tips that I really try to apply because I'm like, oh, that's really good. Or when you talked about your experience of like, you said you had a teacher that followed you around that was like, your head is stiff or something. What
Mhm.
did she say, or what did they say?
She was following me across the floor as I was doing like either chaîné turns or PK turns or something, and she was just stiff neck, stiff neck, stiff neck.
When you told that story, I was laughing because I'm like, that is me. Like, I need someone to do that. I mean, I don't know if that would actually help me. I think it would stress me out, but like, I'd probably get a stiffer neck if someone did that. But like, I watch myself and I'm like, why is my head like, it's like so tense, and I don't like let it just like be. I'm like, I'm just like, I am very stiff. And so I don't know, it's like little things like that that you say that I'm like, oh, that's a really good note that like I need to think about and like apply. So I get a lot out of your class. I
Hmm.
absolutely love it. If I ever have to miss it, I go through like serious FOMO, and when I get like the pop-up of like the videos from class, I'm like, I can't look at it. I'm gonna cry because I'm so sad.
Aw.
So anyway, that's my experience with your class. Love it. You guys should all take Christian's contemporary class at C Spot. It's amazing at 8 on Mondays. Um,
Plug.
but as much as I like love your class, I don't know that much about you. All I know is that sometimes you tell little stories in class and they're just like really funny and interesting. And I'm like, Christian has like the best stories. I need to talk to him more. So I'm just like curious about your dance life because you said right now you don't do like a lot of dance outside of your class, or do you have some other things?
Not really anymore. It's been over a year since I did my last dance job,
Really?
and yeah,
What was your last dance job?
it was for the Grammys with Bad
Oh,
Bunny. Yeah.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
You just said that so quietly. Tell the people. What did you do?
I danced on the Grammys with Bad Bunny.
Yeah, that's so cool. You just said it so quietly and casually, like everyone does that. How was that experience? Had you danced at the Grammys before?
No, I have not. It was my first time, and so it
Wow.
was really cool. It was great to kind of take in how everything happens, and it was really interesting to watch Nappy Tabs. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Direct the whole actual production and figuring out
Wow.
like where the celebrities sit and where people exit and how transitions of the show actually go on. I'm like, oh my God, of course, a dancer directs this whole
Yeah.
production.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
very like Debbie Allen. She became the director because she just had the eye to see how everything can flow and work together. But it was really
Wow.
cool. I love, dance jobs that kind of make you feel like you're just catered.
Yeah.
Um, but it was an interesting experience because I felt a little bummed that there wasn't actual choreography. It was more of like a free for all, like, oh, it's a
Oh.
party. You guys have to do this
Oh.
type of genre, da 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 da, and you have to keep moving around. And they kept giving notes about, like, oh, don't stay in one spot, da 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 da, make sure you're traveling. But then the actual performance, everyone did the stuff that they weren't supposed to do, which
Wait,
was kind
what?
of just stay in one spot and kind of stay to the front and no longer
Oh.
travel. So it was like when people found a window, they stuck to it. So there was like a wall. So I felt like, okay,
Oh.
now I'm in the back kind of just partying. And I think it was cute. I love it. Blessed to be there. But I wish it was a little bit more clear
Yeah.
versus kind of do your own thing, you
Yeah.
know?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be less stressful in a way because you don't have to like remember exact choreography.
Yes, that is a good way to think about it.
But you're like you're a dancer, so that's what you're good at. Like you're like, but you're paying me now for something that's like less than what I can do, which I bet is probably the situation a lot of times for dancers.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
you can do a lot, but they're like, we just want you to
They
like,
want you to just
yeah,
and
yeah,
something
like.
basic, nothing.
I think I was taking a beginner hip hop with Ben Allen at Edge a long time ago,
Oh,
and yeah, it was really fun. And I remember like, I mean, we did simple combos, but he would tell us like, honestly, guys, this is what you would do if you like were doing a commercial. Like this is like they're not really having people do like really hard stuff. Usually, it's just like this basic stuff, I
yeah.
guess. But that is super cool. How did you end up getting that job?
A friend of mine, his name is Aaron Saprensky. He was assistant choreographer for that job, and he posted something on his story like, "Hey, I need a couple of male
Oh,
dancers for this
nice.
job, preferably Latin." Da da da. And so I texted him and I did like an emoji like me, and he's like, "Oh, perfect. What's your email?"
Oh my
And then I got
gosh.
an email and it's like, "Oh, Bad Bunny." Da da da. And I was like, "Oh, okay,
That's
cool."
awesome. Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, so respond to people's stories, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see stuff like that on people's stories, I'm like, well, it's not for me. I'm not there yet. But I hope they find. I'm always like, did they get like a million responses for those? I don't know. Okay, cool. So that's kind of your current life. Well, what do you do? What's your job?
Um, I'm a logistics and operations manager for a small online slash, we have a store space, but it's mainly online.
Okay.
Um, Kind of queer store that has a lot of artwork,
Okay.
and we controlled the licensing to a certain artist's work for about 10 years. So we had a lot of products and books and clothing made with a bunch of like well-known designers and stuff. So we have just a bunch of interesting stuff
Okay.
and clothing and just events that are kind of just out there. And I don't know, it's fun. Super small team, just 3 people.
Okay.
A lot of emails and a lot of phone calls, which is something I never saw myself doing. But it pays well. Um, the boss kind of gives me flexibility. So if I wanted to do a gig, if something were to pop up, and I'm like, hey, can I take the week to do this? I'm sure he would be like, oh, yes, please, da 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 da, do it.
Oh,
So, which is
nice.
great. But I'm so consumed with that where I don't even give myself the luxury of even trying to overextend myself
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay,
Yeah. You
I
just
want to go
gotten,
home.
yeah.
I'm tired.
How long have you done that job?
It's been like a year and a month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you like it to a degree, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
that's
I'm
always
learning a
good.
lot, being basically the owner's like right side man and learning all like legal stuff. And
Nice.
it's going to definitely fill and feed whatever my next move is.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's something I like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my old job that I don't have anymore, like, it wasn't really creative in any way, but I actually used a lot. I mean, I did a million emails a day and I learned a lot and grew a lot. And I actually liked that job for a while and
Mm-hmm.
felt really blessed to have that job. Cut to like 8 years later, I did not feel that way anymore. Well, it
8 years,
it
that's
served
a
its course. It
good
was
amount of
like
time. Yeah.
it was a good amount of time. That's the longest I've ever been in a job, but there was just like too many changes and company merges and I was just filled with anxiety for like 3 years. But it was a huge blessing for a long time. And it's interesting. Like sometimes it's nice to have like a non-creative job, just so that like I don't know. Sometimes I like to do creative stuff that I'm not paid for, or that someone else isn't like dictating, so that I can just like be free in my creativity and not have a pressure.
Yeah.
And then my regular job is just like, okay, just get these tasks done. I don't know. Okay, but I want to hear about how you started in dance. So I feel like you probably danced your whole life. Is that true?
I danced when I was a kid, kind of just for fun, and didn't think anything of it. And then, Britney Spears became a thing, and, I wasn't gay yet. I mean, I knew I was gay, but I didn't accept it. I felt like it was wrong and stuff. But I loved dance, so I would like learn her dances, and I would try to like show my friends and stuff. And even like when I was in middle school, I was in new school. I didn't have too many friends, and I would go into my PE teacher's class for lunch, and I would dance in her room because it was an actual dance studio, and I would just spend my lunch just dancing and da 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 da. Never crossed my mind that it could be an actual profession, even though I'm watching people do it professionally.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until high school I was in a theater program, an after-school theater program that's sponsored by Sony.
Okay.
And my friend and I took a couple of dance classes, and we had this one teacher who was a theater teacher that we hated. And we're like, you know what? Let's just be dance majors. So we switched and just started taking classes. And then I met this guy who moved from Tennessee to Los Angeles to dance with Debbie Allen. And he invited me to one of his shows.
You were in Tennessee?
No, I was here.
Oh,
He
you
was
were
from
here,
Tennessee.
but he moved from Tennessee, but you grew up here.
Correct.
Okay.
And he invited me to go see his show, and I went, and it was one of the Debbie Allen productions, and it
Wow.
was like all of these unbelievably talented kids and adults just like putting on this show where I was just like, I'm blown away. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
And so I told my mom, I was like, I want to go and I want to dance at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy. So I auditioned, and I didn't have a scholarship right away, but I started there at intermediate level and worked my
Nice.
way up to intermediate advanced and then professional eventually.
Wow. And so wait, but you were in a regular college before that?
So the first dance slash theater stuff I was talking about, that was in high school.
Oh, that was in high school. Okay.
I did a little bit of community college after high school for a
Okay.
bit, but I just focused more on dancing, and I got a job relatively short after graduating high school out of state with a company.
Oh, nice.
And I got to dance year round with them
Wow.
and also tour internationally. So I
What
was just
state was it based out of?
like, Utah.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Okay. Wait, so did you live in Utah? Or were you always okay? But
I
then you were
lived in Utah.
traveling.
But I lived with my parents for a while when they were out here, so I always had a place to come back to
Yeah.
and kind of felt like I was able to be in both.
Okay.
Mhm.
And was it a contemporary company? Or what kind of dance was it?
It was kind of everything.
Okay.
Utah dancers are insanely trained in everything.
Really? Okay, I don't know about that.
I didn't either until I got there, and their technique is like out of this world. And they're so ballet heavy and ballroom heavy and tap heavy and
Oh.
hip hop heavy, where they're
Whoa.
just so well rounded. Where actually, like my first day at that job, we were doing our jazz class warm up, and I was watching the girls go across the floor, and they were just doing their own stuff across the floor, and they would start with these insane tilts and huge jumps and all these tricks,
Oh
and I
my
was just like,
gosh.
I can't do any of that. So I left the warm up, and I went into my director's office, and I was like, I'm gonna work really hard, and I'm gonna grow a lot, and da 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 da. And he was just like, okay.
He's like, you already were chosen.
I know, but just me being crazy. But I learned a lot technically there, even though
Wow.
I trained at Debbie Allen and had a lot of technical information already. But with it being a job, it's like, okay, now I have to put it into use.
Yeah.
And also I'm getting different information from different instructors and people who are actually using their bodies currently and da 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 da. But
And
What was
what?
the question?
I don't remember what the last question was, but
She
I
started
think you
going.
probably answered it. um, oh, I asked what kind of dance. I asked what kind of dance you guys did, but you said
Okay.
it was kind of like all kinds.
Yeah.
But where did you perform? Because I don't even. Because I mean, I still feel like I am like new to dance because I've been dancing for like 5 years only. So when people are in companies, I don't even know like who do you perform for? Where are you going in with that company?
So with them, they had like a couple of seasons. The first season, which was like their Halloween season, was a larger collection of dancers. And so for the shows, they would have one cast that stayed in Salt Lake City and only performed there. And then they had another cast that would tour around the state and outside of state
Okay.
as well to do the show as well.
Okay.
I was always in the touring cast, which was
Okay.
more fun, I thought. Um, and it was just either people from Utah. It was like a really well-known show that season, and then I don't know how they made the connections for their second season, but only a certain handful of dancers got to stay, and then we would go to like Europe or in Germany and other random places
Oh wow.
to perform for like a month and whatnot, and just travel and ride buses all around the country there, and it was
Wow.
really cool. Yeah,
That's so
a really awesome
cool.
experience.
So
Yeah.
you kind of learned like a set of pieces or something and then you did that same like show for a year?
So for the
Or
first
did you always
season,
learn new things?
it was for the first season one show. We learned that one show and we do it for however long, like a month or two. And then for the next season, we would learn like 3 or 5 shows.
Okay.
And depending on our venue and what they requested is what we would do.
Okay.
So it was a variation of stuff. And sometimes you would learn something that you wouldn't touch until like a month later and you would still have to
Oh
know it
my
like perfectly.
gosh.
And like, okay, we want to see this number. And it's like, oh, what was it?
Oh my gosh, that's
hmm
crazy. Um, so that lasted a year.
I had danced with them for like 6 years.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And was that your only job during that time, or did you have to have other work?
When I was in Salt Lake City, that was my only job basically, unless it was like teaching. I used to
Okay.
teach at Millennium out there in Salt
Okay.
Lake City.
Wait, is there still a Millennium out there?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Learning things.
hmm
Okay.
It's like a Millennium
So
everywhere.
cool. I know. I mean, I know there's one in Orange County, and is there one in like Nevada? Am I making that up? Maybe there's not one everywhere. Anyway, okay. That's so cool. So you did have a period of time where you like were really just dancing
Mm-hmm.
for your main job,
Mm-hmm.
for your only job.
Yeah.
And did that feel like a dream, or were there some times when you would get like tired of it or kind of wished you were doing something else?
I loved it. I
Yeah,
never
just
wished I was doing
always.
something else.
Okay.
And after like our rehearsals would be for 8 hours, dancing 8 hours nonstop, and then I would leave and then I'd go teach for more hours. And then my friends and I we would do what he would call his soul sessions, which is just like us getting together and improvising with each other to kind of just share.
Wow.
And we would do that for more hours, and it's just like
Wow.
dance filled days nonstop, just dance, dance, dance,
Wow.
dance. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love
hmm
that you did it that much and didn't get tired of it. I'm just like, it's so cool how much, I don't know if I could do that much and not get tired of it. Maybe I could. But it does feel sometimes where I'm like, if I had all the time and all the money in the world, I would probably just want to keep going to dance class like all day.
Yeah.
Performing is obviously like a different story. I don't have a lot of experience with that, but like just dancing all day, like yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm so glad that you like really loved it. So then what
hmm
happened after the 6th year?
Um, a few things. It subconsciously, I always kind of felt weird about when the season ended and I had to come back to LA. Like,
Mm.
I had to then be like, okay, what am I going to do for money? I needed to find
Oh,
a job
okay.
or a gig or something to fill in the little time that I was there. And it kind of was like, I want to feel settled somewhere
Mm.
versus constantly floating. And so I was like, I want to stay in LA because I want to teach in LA.
Okay.
Um, and then also the company, a lot of the seasoned senior dancers had kind of gone and left and, you know, got married and had kids and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of younger, still very talented dancers started kind of becoming the leaders,
Mm-hmm.
where it became a little bit more lax or
Mm.
the step kind of was like it's kind of this, and it's just like everyone had their own variation. It's like, well, we don't look clean anymore. Everyone's
Mm,
doing their own thing, and it kind of just became a little less professional, in my opinion. I even
yeah.
told the director that because he would always interview us at the end of the year, like, what was our experience like? And I told him, yeah, I felt like it's not the same company that it was 6 years ago. And he was like, oh, tell me more about that later. I was like, I'll tell you later because some of the people were sitting, because it would be on
Oh.
our tour bus, so we would
Oh,
not be
okay.
far away from anyone. And I was like,
Yeah,
they're right behind me.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't respond to his text the following year if I wanted to come back. He literally just sent me a question mark, which I figured was like, do you want to come back? And I just didn't respond.
Wow, such good communications. Easy, simple.
Question mark? Silence.
So it's like, okay, we all know what's happening now.
There we go.
Wow, that's kind of like sad. I mean, maybe it was time for a new season for you anyway. I don't know, but like that feels kind of sad. But I love that hearing that story though, because I feel like that is how you are. Like that's how you teach. Like, I mean, you want people to bring their personalities to it, but you also really do encourage us to do it in a clean way and to do it a certain way. And I love that because I've taken other contemporary classes sometimes that they are just kind of like do this or whatever. I went to a class, I don't even remember, it was like a one-off for me. I don't remember who the teacher was, but it was very much like that to like the extreme. And I was like, I don't even, what is happening? Like, I don't know what anyone's doing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And she also said we can do anything, but I'm like at a class, so like what are we supposed to do?
Kind of like
I
a free
was,
for all.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I want to kind of like know specific choreography counts. I mean, a little bit improv is fun, or encouraging us to like bring ourselves to it is cool. But like, yeah, if it's not clean, watching clean choreography, like when people take videos in class, I mean, it's cool to get a video of yourself, but like I generally prefer videos that include multiple people because for some reason, like I can watch a solo dancer and, think they're beautiful. But when I watch a group of people and they are clean and together and all beautiful, I'm like,
I
it's
agree. I'm
so
like,
much more mind blowing to
yeah.
me. Like even when I dance with you, if it was just me, like, okay, got the moves. I mean, partly you just do the moves better than me, so you lift it up a notch, but like,
Mm.
but also like, it's cool to see people doing it at the same time. And I was like, okay, we got the timing. That's so cool. If like you weren't doing it with me, like, who knows if I had the timing? I picked that, what? So I love that like crisp, not crisp. It's not really crisp. It's kind of crisp, but yeah, that cleanness.
Yeah.
So okay, so then you were like, I'm done with that, and you were in LA, and then had you taught in LA before that time?
I did at YNS, which turned
Oh, your
into Dance
neighborhood
Line.
studio, yeah.
To then, you know the story.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, I think it was maybe my last year or the year before where I was like, okay, I'm going to be gone for the year for the company. Can you please keep my class?
Oh,
I found a sub who is willing to cover the whole
for the whole
entire
time.
time. And they're like, okay, cool. And then like a couple of weeks right before I came back, they're like, oh, we decided to just give them the class. I'm like, I'm come back in 2 weeks. Why would you do
What? Oh
that?
my gosh.
So then I was like,
And you found the person for them.
mm-hmm.
And like, was this like your friend? Were they like, yeah, I'm taking your class now?
Uh, they were a friend in a sense, not someone like I hung out with on a regular basis. But I mean, I didn't have any feelings towards them because, wasn't
They
their
were just,
choice,
yeah.
They were offered something, and if I were offered that, I'd be like, yeah. They gave me another day, which was a Thursday, but I was like, I want my Mondays. And now
Oh.
I'm back on Mondays.
So interesting. So then when they took away your day, then what did you well, okay, I might be skipping around in the story, but like when you ended with that company,
Mm-hmm.
then you came back and were teaching at YNS
Mm-hmm. Just on a different
on a
day.
different day. So you were doing the different day.
Mm-hmm. But
Okay.
it was not the kind of same full classes that it was on my
Okay.
other day where I'm like, ugh, this isn't
Okay.
working for people's schedules, clearly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a lot of probing and asking and being annoying,
Yeah.
which my mom taught me to do.
It can work. And then what were you doing like besides teaching? Were you still trying? Were you like trying to find another? Well, you were wanting to stay in LA, but were you looking for like one-off type of dance jobs, or were you wanting to join another company, or like what were you wanting to do?
I mean, I've also danced with a few companies in LA, but none of them really pay.
Okay.
So I liked doing them because it got me free class and free training and kept me in shape. There were some other ones where it was a little too extensive and demanding for promised of payment, and then the payment comes and it's like tiny as hell. And I'm
Okay.
like, okay, I can't do this anymore. You're using me.
Yeah, that's rough.
But it was just like a lot of class taking and auditioning because I had an agent at the time,
Okay.
um, and doing just gigs.
Yeah.
And then I had a part-time job that was at night that was super flexible. So
Oh,
I
nice.
had the days to do whatever dance stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, what's your thoughts on like performing versus teaching? Do you like love both of those things equally, or do you like one more than the other?
Performing is always really fun and cool. It's a great feeling. Um, People enjoy watching me dance, which is great, but I like being in the studio more. And I've always, even when I first started dancing, I would always say to people like, I want to be a choreographer. And I love the creating process and teaching movement to people. And so I've always seen myself do that. I would say I'm a little bit of a shy performer. I'll do it, but do I want to? Not necessarily.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised because I feel like you really like teaching.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
was curious. Because I think now that I'm a teacher, I taught my first class ever last night, and now I'm a teacher with Christian.
Look at us, two teachers.
But I also, I mean, I didn't get committed to dance till like 5 years ago, but I also usually say, oh, my goal is like, I want to choreograph. I'm not trying to like become a professional dancer. If somebody has a job for me, I'm not going to turn it down unless there's a reason to turn it down. But like, I would love to do my own thing with dance, my own choreography, or teach. But I was kind of just picturing teaching people my choreography that I made up for some team or something that I put together. I wasn't really picturing teaching like a class because I literally thought if I ever wanted to teach a class, it would have to be like 15 years from now and like in another state or a place that's not LA, where it's like, oh wow, you have experience. Because like out here, like everyone's been dancing since they were 5, and like where am I going to teach a class? I didn't even have that in my head until literally literally because Christian was literally I became a teacher because of Christian, because he was playing this random song from a Goofy movie, which is so random, in his warm-ups for like 5 weeks in a row. And every time that song came on, and it's like a contemporary class where he usually uses more like, I don't know, contemporary-ish music. I don't know, like slower music, or and this random like super upbeat song comes on and I'm like, wait, why do I know this song? And I think you said it's something like it's from a Goofy movie. I was like, a Goofy movie? Like I love that movie and I have not seen that in forever. And so every week when it came on, I was like, I want to get up and dance to this like right now.
It's so good.
And I was like joking with Christian, are you going to make choreography to that song someday? But like it's not really a contemporary class vibe uh, choreography. It wouldn't be. Um, and then I was started playing it at home, and I was like, I think I'm supposed to make up choreography to this. And then I just like did
This
one
is my
day.
calling.
I know this song is my calling. And I just like made up choreography one day, and then I was like, I think I'm supposed to teach this. I'm supposed to teach this, I think. And then I asked the studio owner of where at C Spot where Christian teaches. They do like a special feature Friday class for $5 on Fridays sometimes for people that maybe like don't teach all the time, or like for new people to try things. And I just asked her if I could teach a beginning jazz class, and then I just taught it last night, and it was like so amazing. And I'm like, why did I bring this up? Oh, the whole point was like, because I have always thought I would like creating choreography and teaching, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. But when I did it, the joy that I had was actually even greater than the joy I have when dancing. And I have a lot of joy dancing. So that's saying a lot. I already have so much joy in my life in general. But then this like super elevated joy came when I was teaching. And I was just like, whoa, I'm actually kind of surprised at how much I like this. And I was just like, I think this is like my calling. And I couldn't believe that I could have the opportunity to teach a class like that in LA. Like, I don't know, even if it was just one time. I'm just like, this, like, I feel so blessed. And just seeing, even my choreography was very, very simple, you know, but like just seeing other people like do it, I was like, oh my gosh, they're like doing my choreography. And some people were like killing it. I was like, dang, they look better than me, but like, I was happy. I was like, that's so cool. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
really neat to see, like, and it also kind of just helps me learn because I'm like, oh, I see how that girl made it her own, but she's still doing it really clean. That's cool. Like, I want to get better at that because I mean, I still really like dancing too. But just like the teaching thing and like working with people, some people were like really new and like hadn't done a pirouette before. So I was like trying to teach them that and like talking to some of those girls at the end and just like the things that they were saying to me, like, just warmed my heart so much. Like, this girl was like, thank you so much. Like, she wanted me to airdrop her the video. She's like, this is the first time I've asked for a video at the end of class because it's the first time I was able to actually get the combo. And
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. So, anyway, I just like, there's so many teachers in LA that seem to really love teaching, like to the point where they're like going overtime or like they just seem really joyful and they put their whole heart into it. And I'm always just like so amazed because it's not like dance teachers are not necessarily living a super life of luxury necessarily unless, you know, it's a very rare case or something. It's not like teaching dance or studios are making like tons of money, and the people that pour so much of their heart into it. And also you kind of have to do stuff like outside of class too, and no one's like paying you to like for the hours you're spending to prepare for class, you know. And so it just amazes me how many people love it so much to just do it. But then I felt that. I'm like, I think I love it so much to do that, you know?
It's
So
fulfilling for sure.
yeah, I just like, so just love that about you, Christian.
Mm.
Um yeah. What happened after this? You had the night job, you had flexibility, you did some dance gigs, you were teaching. You've just been teaching like at YNS and Dance Line and now C Spot like this whole time. Did you ever teach anywhere else?
Um, I would teach some classes I mean, in Salt Lake City
Well, right.
at Millennium. I would teach some classes for the company I was dancing with. Then I did some classes for other companies that I danced with in LA. I set a piece on a company that I started dancing with before I had that Utah gig. Um, but no, I've always had this, I don't know. Am I ready to teach at other places? Am I good enough to teach at like these other places? And
Really?
it took a while for that to develop. And now I feel like, yeah, I should teach at these places. And especially after teaching at Millennium, I'm like, oh, well, I'm already part of the family. Like, let
Yeah.
me in.
Yeah.
And I actually asked the owner of or the manager of the studio in Salt Lake City to reach out to the one here.
Oh, nice.
But she, I guess, got consumed in her life and,
Oh,
it didn't happen.
okay.
I introduced myself to the woman who runs the studio here, and she gave me an email. I sent an email with my information and da 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 da. Heard nothing.
Ah,
Followed up, heard nothing. I'm like, and so many people that I've danced with teach there now. And I'm like, these were all my peers. Like,
yeah.
we trained
Yeah.
together and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, put in a good word for me. Get me
Yeah.
in there. But, like I was saying before, like now my time is so consumed with other
Yeah.
stuff and work where I'm kind of tired, and then on my days off, like I love that you asked me to come take class because I probably would have been lazy if I didn't have someone else kind of make me commit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, oops, dog.
There's
It's
so many people over
definitely
here.
something that I'm gonna work on getting myself back in that door. My agents dropped me during COVID, So I
Oh.
haven't had one since then. And I've also had that same kind of weird voice in the back of my head about, I was so much better years ago as a dancer
Aw.
versus where I am now as a dancer. It's just comparison is always the death of happiness. I read that somewhere the other day, and it's so true. Um,
But like,
but I need to get out of my own way.
who are you comparing yourself to?
Myself.
Because,
I compare
oh,
myself to
okay.
me.
I'm like, you're such a good dancer, Christian. If I compared you next to someone, I would probably be like, Christian is so good. I don't know. Like, I'm like, who are you looking at? But it's yourself. Okay. Oh, because
Mm-hmm.
you're just comparing yourself to your past self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. Well, those of us that don't know your past self think that you're amazing. But
Thank you.
there's a lot of people, Christian, that asked, or like I brought Jess to your class. Like, she hadn't tried it before, and she kept asking, like, does Christian teach anywhere else? Does he teach more days? We need to take him more. And I feel like I've heard other people say that too, because
People
people
do.
want to. Like, they love your
Yeah.
class. I love your class. And yeah, we would all be happy if you were teaching more. But at the same time, yeah, when you have like a regular job and you're like, it is nice to have some downtime sometimes. If
It
you're just like
is.
teaching every time you have downtime, it's just like, okay, it's
When
rough.
do I get to relax? No, it's something I definitely, like I said, want to kind of get my foot back in the door. There's a studio kind of down the street from where I live called Roots,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
RUTS
I've
or
been there.
something. I took one class there just to kind of show my face, and I'm like, hey, I want to teach here. So I got their contact information, but I haven't reached out yet. And
Oh
I
yeah,
want
you
to reach out
should.
again to Millennium as well. And then ask my friends at teacher, like, hey, can you help me get
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Same for Genesis.
Oh yeah. I know I still haven't been there, but
I introduced myself to the owner. I actually had a conversation with one of my old mentors slash someone I danced with, Cassandra Chavez, who is part of the crazy, intricate version of myself and
mm-hmm.
also the perfectionist version of myself. And she recommended me teaching at that studio because it's all
Yeah.
contemporary. I'm like, oh, it's perfect. But they kind of just stopped responding after a while. We were
Interesting.
talking back and forth and then just silence.
Yeah.
And I usually take those things as a sign. So then
Yeah.
I stopped.
Well, because that's how you talk to people.
Yeah.
You give them silence, like the guy. You're like, isn't that what we all know what silence means? Um, Interesting. Yeah, I feel like Genesis, yeah, it is all contemporary. I mean, I haven't been there, but I've like followed some of the teachers and stuff and but it seems to me it's like a little bit different than yours in the way where like
Contemporary?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I feel like I mean I much prefer like your style. So like I still haven't tried Genesis. I should try it at some point cuz it would be good for me to try that kind. But like I don't know. I still think I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe it's not that different if I were to try it, but I just like I like that you're like contemporary, but it still sort of has like to me it feels like sort of a lyrical vibe and it's sort of like a jazz funk vibe. I don't know what to call it. It's not really jazz funk. It's just like I don't know. There's some with like all the quick movements and like I don't know. I really love it. And so, I don't know. I'm gonna pray that you're gonna have the perfect studio to go to because like I don't know what ones it's supposed to be, but I'm so glad that you've at least stayed that I feel like they're all the same now. Your neighborhood studio dance line and
It
C Spot. I feel like
is.
it's all the same thing. I just want
It
to give it like
is.
one name.
I
Because I'm like, well,
know.
you've stayed at the same place the whole time. I mean, it's 3 different places, but all the teachers went to each place. You know, it's like kind of the same.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. I think your life sounds good as it is, honestly, because I think like sometimes I think if you're performing all the time, doing all that, I mean, to me, it sounds fun, but it also sounds kind of like stressful and auditions and da da da. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, just because I used to pursue acting, so like I had to do that and I did auditions and I kind of thought auditions were more fun than the actual jobs. I like liked auditions and then I would get bored when I was like actually doing like a job.
I get it. I used to tell myself that or view auditions as a free class.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't give myself too many expectations, just have fun.
Yeah.
If I don't get it, I had a good class. You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. That's kind of, yeah. The only dance audition, well, I'm like, have I done any other dance auditions? Well, I auditioned for the LA Sparks old school crew.
Cute. Was
which
that
is like,
recent?
it was like not the time they just had an audition, I think. It was last
Oh,
year's.
okay.
Which was really fun, like a free class and like a good experience to like push me. But I did get called back and then I did not get it. This was for like 40 and over people. So it wasn't like as intense as like their actual dance
Are you
team.
40 and over?
I'm 40.
Oh! I turned 35 in 2 weeks.
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. Okay, just don't tell anybody. We don't talk about ages in dance land. I know I like to pretend I'm not because
I wouldn't have guessed.
I want people to invest in me.
Invest in you.
Not think that I'm
Let's
too
not
old
invest in
to
her. She's
too old
too
to be
old.
dancing.
No.
Um, but yeah, I got some good genes. My mom looked really young forever. Well, she still looks young actually, but
Do you know Kim Hale? Do you follow her at all?
yeah, she's great. I met her once actually. She went to my ballet studio at Westside.
I remember she came to teach jazz at Debbie Allen Dance Academy when I was still a student there.
Oh, nice.
Yes. And she's great. She taught like maybe like the lower, younger level.
Okay.
And then I think she became like their social media manager.
Oh,
And then that's
nice.
how she grew that account, but then grew her own personal
Oh,
account. And now that's why
nice.
she's so like Kim Hale. And she just
Right.
moved to New York to live her
Yeah.
dreams. And I love it because it shows that age is just a number.
Yeah.
And as long as you believe in yourself, other people will believe in you.
Yeah.
And there's enough room for everybody. There's room for you to teach your class if you wanted to do it more.
Yeah.
And, you just gotta. I mean, I need to take my own advice. But yeah, I
Yeah.
love that about her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. I know I'm seeing so many dancers lately that are a little bit older, and it's just like, I don't even like to make it a thing because I'm just like, who cares? We're all just different ages. I don't want to be like emphasize like I'm 40 and I'm dancing. Like that's fine. I think people that do it, it's good because it inspires people. But for me, I'm just like, I don't even want to talk about ages. I'm like, let's just be, let's
Yeah.
just dance and be.
I get that.
But yeah, Christian, do you have, so kind of, I was going to ask you kind of like your current dance goals if you had any, but I guess it's kind of like you might want to just like teach a couple other places possibly. And so you're trying to get like your foot in the door of that.
I'd be down to also get an agent again. I think I was gonna start talking about this and I got sidetracked on something else.
Oh.
But I was chatting with Sandra Chavez once about the fact that I don't have an agent anymore and I feel kind of a little disconnected from the dance scene and blah blah blah. She told me that she would put in a good word for a certain agency, that I would just need to send her a reel of myself dancing. I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'll get that to you. And I never did. I started to like dig for old footage that I had of myself, like good footage,
Yeah.
and I don't have it anymore. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? And then I just didn't ever go forward with like going somewhere and filming myself, or I don't know. So I kind of just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Again with the silence.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
Man.
Yeah. But doesn't mean it's a closed door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you seem pretty like chill about it. You're just like, yeah. I don't know. Am I wrong?
No, not necessarily. I don't know. Life is just a journey.
Yeah.
And I'm just writing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I do have a few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
looking at
my
them now.
questions?
Yeah.
I wrote some questions down, my own curiosities about Christian. Who is your favorite student? I'm just kidding. Don't answer that. Okay. I want to know about your choreography process. How do you usually make up? Well, I know recently you made it up in class, which I could not tell. Which was actually, I think you're very talented in that. But how do you usually come up with choreography?
The song usually has to be something that makes me want to move or speaks to me in some sort of way. Usually the music is like the first thing. Like I hear it and I'm like, oh, I hear these accents. I want to move on these words or these beats or these sounds. So I listen to it and then try to figure out what the musicality is, because I don't necessarily have the rhythm right off the bat. I have to like program it into myself. And then I kind of just either improv until I'm like, oh, that felt good. I'm going to hold on to that. Where can I improv then after that? And then kind of just, solidify as I go along. And sometimes it's just like, it starts and it just comes out and I'm done in like a few minutes. I'm like, damn, that was fast. But I also would give myself challenges. I would be like, okay, I want to choreograph this in an hour. Can I do it?
Okay.
And so it would make me not overly analyze what I'm doing. Because when I was younger and I was choreographing, I'm like, oh, is this cool enough? I need to really think overly about this step and da da da. And my process was so long. And I'd watch the videos and I'm like, we're not like moving freely. It's so restricted. It's so thought out. And I think after COVID, actually, I kind of just started accepting what my body wanted to do naturally more. Because I definitely feel like my movement, you've learned old combos versus newer combos. And I feel like definitely the dynamic is slightly different.
Wait, how would you say they're different? Because I'm not sure if I've noticed.
I feel like my older combos are a lot more intricate and dynamic and
Okay.
don't travel as much or take as big
okay,
of
I see.
steps. They're kind of like more stationary and just like
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I felt like that Goofy movie choreography just came right out of me too.
Yeah, it just happened.
I was just like, I don't know what it is, but I have to make up something to this. Okay, so what's your favorite choreography? What's your favorite move in your choreography?
You want to
Not
do it with
everybody
me?
not everybody knows. Okay, I
It's
think
like ooh. I don't know why,
I think
but
I can do it better now than I could in the beginning when you first did it. I was always like, what is he doing? Okay, do you have a second favorite?
do I have a second favorite? I have never mentioned a second favorite. I always comment on this one being my favorite move when I teach
If you're
it.
listening to the podcast, we're just like, it's kind of like your wrists are connected and then your hands are kind of like moving around in like a
opposition.
opposition. It's like a butterfly that's getting all twisted.
Butterfly. I think of like a star or some like beam or.
I think you like lame ducks.
Okay.
Isn't that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Such a funny name. Or like a dégagé turn.
I was just trying to come up with something. I don't know if that's your second. Maybe you don't have a second favorite. Um, do you have any advice for dancers that are training in general? Do you have any general advice? Do you have any specific advice? Do you want to give like 10 dance tips right now?
I don't know. To the random dancers out there, I think it's important to take classes that are outside of your comfort zone. Don't just take your favorites, because then you'll only be good at just that.
Yeah.
And it's important to be able to be multifaceted and, moldable, and that only happens if you really put yourself out there in other genres, because I feel like a lot of people kind of just stick in their niche now.
Yeah.
In their niche, I should say. And ballet. Ballet is so important, and I don't think a lot of people do that anymore. I mean, you take it, there's a few like consistent ballet classes, but some teachers I've heard say this, and I agree with it, technique doesn't go out of style.
Yeah.
It kind of just adds to whatever dancing. So I feel like, everyone's so commercial now, where I think it'd be still good to have ballet and technique in their back pocket.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's amazing. I just thought of another question I need to ask you. I know
Ask
we're
me.
almost like done here, but how do you stay so good at dance when you don't like take dance classes all the time? Is it just because like you just did it your whole life, so it's just like never gonna leave you? Or do you dance around your house, or do you work on stuff, or is it just like so embedded in you that you just like, because you're so good but it seems like you don't dance that much like right now outside of your class.
I don't. And no, I don't kind of do stuff in between. I mean, like, at work, a cute song come on and I'll walk and do little stuff here and there, but nothing crazy. Um, and I guess that kind of goes back to us talking about me comparing myself to the old me and me now, because you use it or lose it. I definitely feel like there's a lot of stuff that I was more, capable of doing that isn't quite as good now because I'm not, building those muscles anymore or practicing those moves or whatever. But as I've said in class, like technique is information. So I just try to think about all that information when I'm dancing and just think about like, okay, connecting my foot to here and relaxing my shoulders and just every lesson that I've taught myself over the years to just remind myself as I'm dancing. And I think that's what helps me stay in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I think you're amazing. I think tons of people think you're an amazing dancer because you
You're so
are.
sweet.
And I hope that you can get all the dance opportunities you want. No more, no less.
You're so cute.
And yeah, Christian, that's kind of it. It went by kind of fast. I was
It
like, how is it
did.
almost an hour? I feel like there's probably lots more I could ask you and learn from you, but
Yeah,
you know,
there's more stories in there. We can do a round
round
two,
two.
three some other time.
Is there any story popping up in your head right now that you're like, this would have been so funny to share? I'm putting you on the
There's so
spot.
many. I don't know. We've
Okay.
only talked about, I mean, a couple of gigs.
Yeah.
Done
Do
more
you
than we
do
talked
you
about
want
here.
to? Is there a? We have a little time. Is there like another gig that was like interesting that you've done that you want to share about,
Um,
or
I
just
think I
something?
talked about this one in class and where I was at an audition and people were like, "Oh, this is stupid. I'm leaving. I don't want to audition for
Oh
this," because we didn't know
yeah.
what it was, and you had to walk forward like a bumblebee, and then you had to make like a scary face, and then you kind of had to like do this weird shake thing, and I was like, "This is stupid," but I was like, "Who cares? Whatever," and I just fully committed, and it was for American Horror Story, and
Wow.
that was really cool. Um,
That's
I
so good. I
danced
remember
on
you.
Shake It Up, and I think I mentioned this in class about being consistent, where we did something with the fabric and you had to turn around and catch it
Oh
blindly around
yeah.
you, and I caught it every single time except for one take, and then that's the take that they used on the show.
Oh my
So like it happened super
gosh.
fast, and you see mine just whoop.
Oh no. Why would they use that?
Because everyone else caught theirs, because the whole other times that I was catching it, other people were dropping
Oh man,
theirs.
they had to pick the one.
Mm-hmm.
That is so funny. It is so hard to dance with props.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing in
I
itself.
tried
Because it
that
has
in a
to be
class a couple
perfect
times.
angles and
Yeah.
everything, and yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anything else? Any funny stories about like training at Debbie Allen or like um wait, Debbie Reynolds or Debbie Allen? Debbie Reynolds or Debbie Allen?
Debbie Allen.
Why do I
So where you take that guy's ballet class?
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
at Debbie Allen. I
Mm-hmm.
don't mix them up in my head all the time. Yeah, any like funny stories about training there or interesting things or like any training stories?
Um, I used to ditch one of my classes during the summer intensive to take a class that was above me because I would feel the way you would feel about like my class, like, oh, I don't have it yet, but the choreography is so cool, I want to get it, and da da
Yeah.
da. So I would like put myself in her class and sneak away. Was not very good at that time. I used to take a Dunham class, which is like a jazz African kind of class,
Oh.
which is really an awesome class, but only a few people are certified to teach it.
Oh wow.
But my teacher was the same teacher through all my levels, and like when I got into advanced, she would always like stop the class for some reason and say the same story and be like, "I remember when he first started dancing, he had three left feet and da 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 da." It was always so funny. And she's
That
like,
is so
"Look at him now."
I have a lot of teachers that say that about me. Not that I'm like a look at her now person yet, but still I've come a long way from like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I also love that you like were like a rebel, like leaving your dance school to take another dance class. Like,
I actually, the teacher that I left, actually told me I wasn't allowed to come back to visit anybody because I came back to try to choreograph for my friends who were still there, and she was like, "No, you can't be here
Because you ditched her class?
because I left that school entirely to go to Debbie
Oh.
Allen." Is that what you were
Oh.
asking?
No,
Or
I
are you
was
talking
just,
about that one
I
class
was
that
saying
I
it was
left?
funny that
No,
you're
they
just
didn't
like,
notice.
I'm leaving dance to go dance. Like, you know, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like the rebellious ways of a dancer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not like leaving to go like, you know, do something bad. You're like leaving to take more dance. Like, I
Yes.
don't know. It's just funny. But,
Just wasn't my level.
well, that's sad about the other story though.
I mean, it worked itself out because I just stopped showing up, and then years later, I went to one of the recitals, and I was like, "Oh, hi, remember me?" And she's like, "Oh my God, Chris!" And she's like, "Do you want to choreograph for us?" And I did, and she had me do a solo as well, and she was just like, "You're
Nice.
so beautiful." And then I got to teach there, which that was a cute teaching job because I was getting paid $50 an hour,
Nice.
which was, show up a few times out of the week and get a cute check.
Yeah.
Loved it. I almost became the actual director for that whole program, but it
Whoa.
was a really messy transition where it didn't actually work out. Probably for the best, but
Do people call you Chris?
they did. In high school, I went by Chris.
Really?
Hmm.
When you said Chris, I was like, who's Chris? Oh, that's you.
And then when I left to go to Debbie Allen is when I was like, I want to go by Christian again.
Okay.
So
The
people
mature.
knew me. I just thought it was more interesting.
Yeah.
Where when I was younger and I wanted to go by Chris, I thought it was more masculine.
Okay.
And I wanted not to be made fun of. So I was like,
Okay.
call me Chris.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Well, Christian, I think, this has been amazing. I've learned a lot about you that I didn't know. So everyone else will have as well once this is released. And yeah, at some point, hopefully we'll do a round two at some point, and you're going to have all these new stories about all these different opportunities that came up because you put your reel together and you hounded people.
Okay, I see where you're going.
I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want,
No, I love
Christian.
that.
I think your life already sounds amazing. Even if you didn't do anything else, it seems good. You have a good job. You teach a class you love, and to me, that's sounds great. I honestly think sometimes I think it's nice, probably nicer in cities where people aren't all pursuing something. I don't know, I have a drive to pursue dance for some reason, and most of us in LA have some sort of drive like that, and so there is a beauty to that. But sometimes I wonder about regular places, or places where people are just this is my job, and then after that I just hang out with people or I eat dinner. I'm like, that must be nice.
We're not normal with dancers.
But I don't know, we just love it so much. But I think however your heart leads you sounds good. And thanks for taking the time to be on my podcast, Christian.
Thanks for having me, Tracy, favorite student.
You weren't supposed to tell.
I pointed at you when you first asked.
Oh, you did? I missed it. And yeah, thanks for taking Malaya's class. That was so fun, and I think you blessed everyone with your dancing.
You're so sweet.
Definitely blessed me. You probably blessed Malaya and the rest of them.
you.
So anyway, it's over. I just can't end it because I just want to keep talking. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.